Hey y'all, and welcome to Shadow Space, and we're commenting on another BCP video, This is called Democrat Civil War Explodes as Democrats Refuse to Support Communist Democrat Against Republican. This is uploaded May 28th, this is being recorded May 29th, and links in the description.
Platner for Senate in Maine. And here's the reason why.
Oh, sorry,
Graham
hold on. Might not be at the beginning.
Graham Platner for Senate in Maine. And here's the reason why. Graham Platner is the real deal, and people are ready.
Senator Warren, who's this fine woman here, harps on Pete Hegseth's Christian tattoo as she rails against his anti-woke policies. Despite religious scholars later countering that the day's vault is often considered a common Christian symbol, Warren contended the fact that his superiors were concerned about the tattoo raises questions about whether he could be the Pentagon chief. You were also removed from President Biden's inauguration because of concerns that you were an insider threat after reports that your Daysville tattoo was a Christian expression associated with right-wing extremism, she wrote to Hegseth. We cannot have a defense secretary whose fellow service members feel concerned enough about to report as a potential insider threat.
To vote for someone who will actually fight for them. Not just nibble around the edges, not just wimp out at holding the rich and powerful accountable. Graham Platner has the grit to go against the grain and to fight for what is right.
Don't lose sight of the Democrats' other star candidate,
right,
Graham Platner up in Maine. I don't want Tallarico to steal Platner's thunder as the weirdest possible person you could have recruited to run for the United States Senate. The Washington Free Beacon has a new story out about Platner, and they have Platner suggesting that legendary...
Is it actually a new story?
American sniper Chris Kyle. You know Chris Kyle, the movie, I'm sure you've seen it. They've got Platner saying that Chris Kyle shot innocent civilians in Iraq in order to inflate his kill numbers. He also, Platner, that is, bristled at the idea that a former Navy SEAL like Kyle and his platoon should be called heroes. Let me quote Platner for you. Quote, Kyle's stories about how many people he was shooting certainly tracked with the behavior I witnessed.
But then he's going to say something dumb like, oh, but we have to respect our veterans. He is a veteran. He wants respect.
In Ramadi, said Platner, it's relatively easy to get high numbers if you're a little less discriminating in your fire than, say, a more professional unit would be. Here's Platner once again, and he's done it many times, maligning the memory of these American heroes, these American veterans. Now, the widow of Chris Kyle...
Well, I do have to say that I don't exactly approve of sniping civilians.
Taya,
I don't think that's okay.
Has come out to respond to these despicable comments. Let's hear her. She appeared on Fox. Let's hear this exchange, cut number 7.
His stories about how many people he was shooting certainly tracked with the behavior I witnessed and people I knew witnessed down at the Gov Center, which is it's relatively easy to get high numbers like that if you're a little less discriminating your fire than, say, a more professional unit would be.
What went through your mind when you heard this?
I mean, to me, it's just like nothing says I want attention more than disparaging a national hero who's also dead. It's transparent, it's cowardly, it's lowbrow to lie about somebody else, right? And it distracts from what you've probably said, and in this case, I think some things that he has said.
Boy. So we got to talk about the Democrat Civil War that is getting very, 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 very juicy.
Well, see, I mean, they're always going to be because they can't agree on anything because there's no unity.
Out in Maine, as you have communist
Perhaps
Democrat,
that's going to be the theme
Graham
for
Platner,
tonight.
who's also a Nazi as well too. Okay, according to the tattoo that he got while he was in the military, a Nazi tattoo, a Nazi Democrat. He is the candidate for the Democrats in the Senate race against Susan Collins, who is a Republican. Okay, and she's a moderate Republican. And he is a far, far, far left communist Nazi Democrat. And you have some Democrats, some moderate Democrats, whatever that means, right? I'm not sure if any moderate Democrats actually exist anymore. But you have some Democrats who claim to be moderate who are now coming out and saying we're not supporting Graham Platner, right?
Yes, because they're both two sides of the same coin, right? So because no one is truly in the middle, because to be in the middle would be to not have a strong opinion one way or another. So you have the MAGA Republicans, but then you have like the moderate right, and then you have the extreme right. But so then you have the same thing on the Democrat side, where you have you have people like this, who are more in the public eye, who aren't quite like Antifa, but they believe in socialism. They're up there. They're more willing to play the game to get what they want than just use violence or just intimidation outright. Hard power versus soft power. And then you have I don't want to keep using him as an example, but I can't think of anyone else. You have the center left, and then you have the extreme.
He is too far, right? We cannot vote blue no matter who this time, because this guy is out of control with some of his wild comments that he said before in the past. That plus the Nazi tattoo is starting to add up, right? And it's getting to be too much for some in the Democrat establishment. And this is why they are abandoning him going into this Senate race, okay? Despite the endorsements from Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, others, okay, who always boo-hoo whine and cry about Nazi, fascism, right? Whatever reason, they're totally cool with a Nazi, becoming one of their colleagues in the Senate.
Find that tattoo and his commentary about it to be personally disqualifying. I hope Maine voters agree with me. I think there would be a mistake for the Democratic Party to think that Graham Platner's brand of the Democratic Party is what wins us durable majorities throughout this country.
Wow. Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss, thank you so much for being with us.
And so the next day, yesterday, he cleaned up some of those comments and said that, if Graham Platner does eventually win the Democratic primary, which he hopes he won't, then he will oppose Susan Collins. But he kind of didn't really come out and say that he would support Platner.
Who else are they running against?
You also then had a couple of other Democratic officials kind of agreeing with him. Let's roll F2 here. This is a Biden administration official.
Are his past comments disqualifying for Democrats? And if they're not, should they be?
Well, I agree with Congressman Jake Auchincloss, and he runs a Dem majority PAC. So he spends a lot of his time not only representing his district, but also
there he is with Bernie Sanders, for what that's worth.
Crossing the country.
See, because this is his camp, or it's like the Bernie Bros, where they aren't quite militant. They're more willing to play the game. They're more willing to try to bend the rules.
And so he knows what will get people elected in the Democratic Party. And he's also a Jewish man. So I don't think there's anybody in the Democratic Party who should feel pressure to support Graham Platner. I certainly don't. And just because Senator Elizabeth Warren says that that's her kind of man doesn't mean that has to apply to everybody. My kind of senators are the ones that come from Georgia, Senator Ossoff and Warnock, and they have different principles and values than Graham Platner. So I think that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren will just have to carry that themselves.
So vote blue no matter who, unless it's somebody you don't like. Another one, Melissa DeRosa, who was a former chief of staff to Andrew Cuomo, famous for many things, or infamous for many things, among them leading a smear campaign against Cuomo's sexual harassment victims. she believes that her ethical compass does not point towards supporting Platner. Let's roll F3 here.
No, absolutely. I mean, the Maine race really demonstrates the civil war that's happening within the Democratic Party, and there are a lot of Democrats, moderate Democrats like myself.
I don't know if it's a civil war. Just they don't agree on anything. They argue about it for the length of the segment, and then they'll kind of just shrug and say, well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree, and then they move on. It doesn't do anything. It remains unsolved. They don't actually resolve any of the issues that they have. They just walk away from them. That's not healthy. That's not okay.
Tears should we lose Maine? I mean, that would be a pickup to begin with.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how far does Ryan Grimm believe that vote blue no matter who should go, right? Should you really vote blue no matter who, even if it's a communist, even if it's a guy?
They did in New York. I don't know why this would stop them.
With a Nazi tattoo, who've said things that would be otherwise disqualifying if it was a Republican, right? How far should vote blue no matter who go? Okay, we're going to find out here when it comes to his race out in Maine between Graham Platner and Susan Collins. You have some Democrats who are refusing to speak on this leadership. They're not commenting on what is currently happening with all of these Democrats and liberals saying, we might not be able to support this guy against Susan Collins in the Maine race. Take a look.
Mr. Leader, is Graham Platner a liability for Democrats after those lewd Reddit posts were exposed?
I haven't seen those posts,
Senator, is Graham Platner a liability right now for
Typical
Democrats
response.
after those Reddit posts, the lewd posts that just were revealed?
Finally took my advice and kept his mouth shut. Just beeline straight to the car. Say nope.
Senator, do you rescind your endorsement of Graham Platner after those lewd posts on Reddit?
The moment she starts to hear the buzzwords that she doesn't like, it's nope, and they walk away.
Are you reconsidering endorsing Platner after those lewd Reddit posts that came out?
Senator, what about Talarico, sir? What about the president endorsing Paxton over Cornyn? Do you think that changes the dynamic in Texas?
The Republicans in Texas are in a shambles, and we're going to win Texas.
Platner, there's some lewd posts that he made on social media.
I'm not following it.
Sorry.
I haven't seen those, but going right into a hearing.
Well, the people of Maine get to choose who they want to represent them in the U.S. Senate. And so I encourage you to interview the people in Maine, because that's what a democracy is all about.
I'm not going to take any position in that election.
I mean, I don't know.
That's my practice since I've been in the Senate.
Democrats.
On whose?
Graham Platner, who's running for Senate in Maine, has made some wild.
I'm not going to get into that. Okay.
Hey, Senator, can you talk to us about Graham Platner's posts? Do you find them offensive? The social media posts that came out.
I'm not getting involved in that race. I'm actually focused on the Midwest.
I'm gonna be honest. What comments did he make? What did he say? Is it about this guy? Is it these comments about this guy?
I have not seen his posts, so I'm not going to be able to be in a position to evaluate them. He's explained his journey and his evolution and his PTSD, from the war. And again, I think it's a judgment that should be rendered by the people of Maine.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, right? The same Democrats who are always kicking and screaming and crying about fascism, for whatever reason, don't want to comment on one of their own, right? One of their people running in their party for Senate, okay? Senator, okay? They don't want to comment.
Because none of them could even say a good word. They easily could have said, he's the best candidate. I think people should vote for him. They could have made an endorsement. They could have made an endorsement. They could have thrown him under the bus. They didn't.
Comment on that. Apparently that's too much. They don't have anything to say about him. But they got a whole lot to say about Trump endorsing Ken Paxton. Well, at least Trump has the cojones to actually take a side, right? To actually say something. Democrats don't have the cojones to say anything, right? They're cowards.
If Graham Platner was in the military, if he was actually on duty, if he actually, like, was doing things, like, he killed people, potentially. Like, I don't know.
They're running away when confronted on the current infighting that's happening.
Ken Paxton supposedly did all these horrible things. I don't know what he did. Stole money or did something. I don't know. Hurt people somehow. He ended people's lives. He hurt people too.
Within the party over this guy's campaign. Again, because there are some Democrats who are openly saying, we can't really support this guy. Like, we can't get behind this. This is too far. Vote blue no matter who has gone way too far, right? To the point where, again, they're expecting you to vote for flat-out communists, okay? Individuals who have Nazi tattoos. That's what they want you to vote for because, hey, we got to stick it to Trump, right? Democrats need to take back power, right? No matter what, okay? No matter what. Just put anybody in office, right? Doesn't matter who it is. As long as they're Democrat. Well, amazing. So, again,
when you want it that bad,
are seeing this and they're saying they don't like
when you want it that bad, your standards lax. You increase your pool of eligibles.
Like it. Susan Collins, again, being a more moderate Republican, it makes it a lot easier for them to say, hey, you know what, maybe just maybe we shouldn't support Graham Platner, right? Because, again, Susan Collins is not far right in any sense, okay? Maine is basically a blue state that can be purple, right? So her, as a Republican, winning that seat, being in that seat as a moderate Republican, I think it makes it easier for some Democrats to say, we're good on Graham Platner, right? So let's get into this. Top Democratic officials and lawmakers are breaking with Democratic Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner as his past blunders and online history stack up. Platner's ascendancy to the top of the ticket in vacation land broke with the Democratic establishment in Washington, D.C., and since Governor Janet Mills exited the race, questions about whether he is the right choice to take on Senator Susan Collins have exploded. Much of that is fueled by scandals that have cropped up seemingly week after week, be it a tattoo on his chest of a Nazi symbol or inflammatory posts online. Some in the Democrat Party warn that it's spurring a civil war between the moderate and left wings of the party. Yeah, I mean, there's only so much that the so-called moderate, which is also far left, right? Let's be real. There's only so much of the so-called moderate wing that the Democrat Party can actually take, right? At some point, you can't claim to be moderate. You can't claim to be sensible. You can't claim to be, not a communist, not a socialist, but get in bed with people who are overt communists and socialists. Again, like Graham Platner, like a Zoran Mondami. It is becoming clear what the agenda is of the far left portion of...
Well, see, but as the older people who believe those old Democrat ideas either phase out of the system or shift to the new paradigm, it replaces itself. The old Democrat Party isn't the Democrat Party that it is now, which is probably isn't going to be the Democrat Party that it's going to be in another 20 years from now.
The Democrat Party base, just look and listen to what these people are telling you. They're telling you what they want, right? What they want to turn this country into.
Yeah.
To our neighbors, our community, and to this country, we can bring light.
It's everyone's favorite
I think
people.
That pretty much sums up the agenda, right? And what the Democrat Party
Did she pull up on the South like she said she was going to do?
Stands for what they're going to stand for if they allow themselves to lose this civil war to...
Or is she a part of the boycott of the southern states and she isn't going down there?
The far left, which right now they are losing badly, right? They're losing badly, okay? Zoran is running New York City, a flat-out socialist. Graham Platner forced Janet Mills, a sitting Democrat governor, out of the race, right? Out of the Senate primary, like, Democrats getting whooped right now. Establishment Democrats getting whooped. The monster that they created is eating them, right? This is why you don't get in bed with these left-wing lunatics. Melissa DeRosa, former New York Mayor Andrew Cuomo's chief of staff, told Fox News' Brett Baer that Platner's rise and ensuing questions of his fitness as a candidate are demonstrative of the bubbling conflict within the Democratic Party. Quote, the main race really demonstrates the civil war that's happening within the Democrat Party, and there are a lot of Democrats, moderate Democrats like myself, who will not cry tears should we lose Maine, DeRosa said. I mean, that would be a pickup to begin with. Wow. Senate Democrats view Maine as one.
See, you're a pawn. They don't care.
One of the most viable
pickup
opportunities.
They would happily have you eviscerated in the most painful, inhumane way possible if they thought that it would get them ahead. They don't care.
In the 2026 midterm cycle in their quest to regain control of the upper chamber. Platner is not the candidate that the party bosses wanted, but since jumping into the race last year, he has built a growing national profile that reached new heights earlier this month when he landed on the cover of Time magazine. Still, his unearthed Reddit posts ranging from bashing a soldier shot by the Taliban to masturbating in portable toilets have unleashed fresh scrutiny from both the National Republican Senatorial Committee and Democrats alike. Yeah, he's a weirdo, right? He's another freak, just like James Tallarico. And again, this is par for the course in regards to what the
Why can't you do that at home?
Democrats are going to be offering the American people, right, moving forward. These are the type of weirdos and lunatics that are going to come out of the far left portion of the Democrat Party base. Okay, so get used to it. Get used to these Nazi, communist, socialist, weirdo, freak candidates that keep popping up, right? They're going to continue to pop up. They're going to pop up more and more and more as these individuals gain momentum, and they're winning this civil war. They really are. Quote, Democrats shift from quietly distancing themselves from Platner to openly disavowing him proves his baggage is catching up with him. The Maine voters won't excuse it. Platner's deviant, scandal-plagued history is only the beginning of the problems he has ahead, and top Democrats in both the House and Senate, including Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, were quiet after recently pressed by Fox News Digital on their backing of Platner.
Even though Bernie Sanders was at some sort of event shaking his hand and making a big deal about the fact that he was friends with this guy.
Yeah. So unsurprisingly, leftists are pissed off that you have some of these establishment Democrats coming out and trashing Platner, okay, basically low-key hoping that Susan Collins wins. They're very, very, very upset.
Party Democrats. And here he's just denying objective reality. He said claims that he would endorse her implicitly or otherwise are wrong. You literally did implicitly endorse her. Like, we just saw you do that. Platner's tattoo is disqualifying is what you said. Well, it's only going to be Platner or Collins. That's who's going to win. It's one or the other. So if you're saying not Platner, what are you fucking saying? You're saying exactly what we know you're saying. He continues, as I said months ago, I find Platner's Nazi tattoo and his commentary about it personally disqualifying. If it were me, I'd vote for someone else in the Maine Democratic primary. He's the nominee. It's over. It's done. Regardless of what happens in Maine, Democrats need to take back the Senate, and I'll keep working hard to make it happen. What a sick joke. What a sick joke. So I...
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Said resign. People are showing here, look how much money you've taken from the Israel lobby, and this is why you'd be comfortable with Susan Collins and not with Graham Platner, because he's not taking any money from the Israel lobby. Ron Filipkowski says, you said his tattoo is personally disqualifying, and I hope Maine voters agree with me. 1, there are 2 choices in the race. 2, the race could decide the Senate. 3, your statement will be in lots of GOP ads. It already is, by the way. It already fucking is. 4, nobody in Maine wants anyone...
I mean, it's already... You're talking about it.
...in Massachusetts to tell us what we should do. Shout out to Ron Filipkowski, man of Midas Touch. He's fucking awesome. Tommy Veter says, have you called or met with him to discuss it? Talking about, you haven't even talked to Platner? You're just endorsing against him. Gee, I wonder why that is. Could it be because you take $1 gazillion in Israel lobby money and he's critical of Israel and critical of the genocide and you support the genocide? Is that why?
Well, there are the pictures that they were at an event. I assume they didn't just meet for the event. I assume they talked. Graham Platner and Bernie Sanders? Have you called or met with him to discuss it? You know, that was a lot of their answers was that they didn't.
Is that it? Does that have something to do with it? You diet MAGA fucking prick? Hanania says, seems like you either support Platner or Collins, and there isn't a third option.
This is why I get upset when I get upset. This is not the kind of person that I want to be like.
In other words, even Hanania hates Platner. Even a guy who hates Platner is going, don't fucking lie to us. We know what you're saying. We know that you're clearly subtly endorsing Collins and snubbing Graham Platner. Rachel Bidikofer, by the way, she's a more centrist Democrat. She's not on the same page I am, but she says, we need to take back the Senate, but don't vote for the Democrat because I want to pretend a tattoo and not positions make him a Nazi while we are facing actual Nazi policies. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the debate ending point. That's the fucking mic drop point right there. We are watching the closest thing to American Nazism we've ever fucking seen in our lives.
Then why don't you actually insurrect? Then why don't you actually overthrow the government? Then why do you sit there in your room and complain about how it's happening while you do nothing to actually change anything? It's typical Democrats. At that point, it's war profiteering. At that point, he is financially incentivized to continue the problem, to perpetuate the issue, because he gets money to sit here and talk about it. He is financially incentivized to not solve the problem. He's financially incentivized to sit there and complain and not do anything about it.
Yeah. So you see, they heard that. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Apparently Blue and On, they believe that we're currently living in a Nazi regime. In order to stop the Nazi regime, you must vote for the Democrat.
Well, it's anti-racism. To stop the Nazis on the right, you have to become leftist Nazis.
With a Nazi tattoo. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
You have to elect your own Nazis so they can fight the other Nazis.
That this race is going to be interesting. Right now, allegedly, Graham Platner has the advantage, but we're going to see what happens as we get closer to the midterms in regards to polling. A state like Maine, again, it's a very weird state. Again, you have a socialist performing well in the Democrat primary. He's performing well right now in the general election polling. And then you have a more moderate Republican in Susan Collins. It's just very interesting. It's a very interesting state. It is hard to say exactly how this is going to end up. But regardless, this Civil War...
See, but not really, because if it's true that the people with the most money win the campaign, then if you believe what they're saying, which I know is hard to do, you can't always do that. If you believe what they're saying, she has the most money. So by any sense, that would imply that she's going to win.
This fight amongst Democrats should, at the very least, be an indication.
She could not.
That everybody's not on board with this guy, right? That this guy could have some issues going into a general election. And I'm hoping that a lot of these Democrats who...
It's what I talk about, where you have to find that thing that when people hear it, they either don't like it or just it has to tarnish them enough to where they don't want to support them.
Claim to be more moderate, claim to be more reasonable, who are standing up to this guy, say, hey, you know what, we need to vote for Susan Collins, right? We got to support Susan Collins.
Like jacking off in like...
Because this guy is just too far for us, right? And it's not like supporting Susan Collins is supporting, MAGA, right? Or anything like that, because she's not a Trumper, okay? She's a moderate establishment Republican who mostly votes with the Republican Party. But yet again, she's more moderate leaning. And ultimately today, these so-called moderate Democrats, they have a chance to prove that they're actually moderate, right? This is the test case. Are you going to align with the actual moderate Republican, right? Somebody that's much closer to where Democrats claim that they are, right? Moderate Democrats claim that they are, than somebody like Graham Platner, right? That's the question. Because, again, if they elect Graham Platner, if they support Graham Platner...
No, because the Democrat Party is shifting towards the ideology that Graham Platner represents. What?
Again, what you're saying, what Democrats are saying, what they're telling the country is that, we are communist, right? We're in bed with communist extremists, right? Like this guy.
But they are.
That's what he is. He's a communist extremist. And
Yeah.
you're seeing these people pop up.
So is Mamdani.
All over the place. And as long as they continue to have success within the Democrat Party,
So is
they'll continue to
AOC.
pop up, right? This is a beast that was created by
So are a lot of Democrats.
Democrats, and he's now out of control. He's off the leash, and he's eating the Democrats alive, right? That's what's happening at this point. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly,
I don't know. Looks like we haven't really seen numbers for it. So I don't know. I believe that Democrats would just vote for the Democrat because, especially now, there's enough hatred for Republicans that they would probably galvanize behind that, Trump and Republicans. But at the same time, if this Susan Collins or whoever has more money, then I don't know.